In the year 2017, an innocent man accused of a crime has a choice. Hard time or prime time.
Sensational. Perfect contestant. I want him.
He must pay or play the running man.
On your mark.
I'll be back.
Go!
The highest rated TV show in history.
Guess they want us to stay.
It's a game between life and death.
Welcome to the latest episode of the podcast that wouldn't die. I'm your host, Kevin. With me, as always, is Aaron.
What up, people?
This week, we'll be discussing the science fiction classic, The Running Man, starring Arnold Schwarzenegger, Richard Dawson. You got Jesse Ventura, Jim Brown. You got Yaphet Kotto. It's an all-star cast. Mick Fleetwood's in this, for damn sake.
Mick Fleetwood's in this. At one point, I thought Carlos Santana was in it, but apparently that's just me being racist.
Just Dweezil Zappa's in it, though.
Is he? I used to think
Yes, he is.
I used to think he was kind of cute.
It is truly the most bizarre example of egregious stunt casting that you have ever seen. It's like, I don't know, this went to the back of the Costco and said, hey, former actors, hop in the back of the bus, let's do this.
It was the Expendables before the Expendables.
Yes. Truly the Expendables.
How's that?
I believe it. Give us your 30-second synopsis of The Running Man.
All right. This is my thoughts. And this is very apropos with our political climate these days in the land of fake news.
This is true.
Entertainment and as it has always through the history of time. I mean, you could compare this to the gladiators of ancient times. The people need to be entertained. Otherwise, they start thinking angry thoughts about the government, I think is what that is. So, In this futuristic world that has actually passed 3 years ago.
Right, 2017.
It should have been 2016. In this futuristic world, there is a game show called The Running Man, where criminals are given a chance to escape, but
earn their freedom.
But the cost is they have these people. What are they? Strikers? Is that what they're called?
Stalkers.
Well, that makes more sense.
Yes.
Stalkers. Meanwhile, people are chasing them, trying to kill them. But if you succeed, supposedly, you're free, and you live in Hawaii with solid gold dancers.
Yeah.
Blah blah blah. Anyway, Arnold Schwarzenegger is wrongly convicted of a crime and ends up escaping. And they decide, wouldn't it be great if we got him to be on the show? So they called the government, and the government hooked him up. And yada, yada, yada. As always happens, Arnold Schwarzenegger wins. The end.
That's all you need to know.
When is Arnold the bad guy? When does Arnold lose? Ask yourself these questions.
He was Mr. Freeze in Batman and Robin. So there you go. Do not go see it, though.
No, I did not go see that. And I was deeply involved with Michael Keaton during those days.
Yeah, Michael Keaton's not in this one.
Oh, well, then,
so maybe that explains it.
That maybe have something to do with it.
It's very sad.
All right, I was deeply involved with Michael Keaton, so I refused to see it. Who was the Batman in that one?
George Clooney.
Yeah, George Clooney.
No?
George Clooney is George Clooney. There you go.
There you go. Good times. This was the Michael Keaton period when he was like clean and sober. He was doing those things, trying to win an Oscar before his career fell off a cliff.
The cocaine affected a lot of people.
Yeah. So you're saying he wasn't clean and sober? Is that what you're suggesting?
Maybe it was just a helpful hint.
Breaking news. couple things. It's a game show, The Running Man, but the objective is very sketchy, right? They throw the criminals into this battle area, which is like post-apocalyptic wherever, right? But what is the objective? They just have to live. There's no timer.
No,
right?
It's a 3-hour show. So
if they survive for 3 hours?
Well, it's so manipulated that it's 3 hours. So it's going to end, because you'll notice they have like the fake ending where they wrap it all up nicely. They do shit like that. So
is that how it works?
Absolutely. At one point they couldn't find them. So they staged this fake death match ending using CGI. Elon Musk warned us all about this.
That's true.
Maybe he got the idea
from Musk.
Maybe he got the idea from this. I don't know.
Could be. Well, because it's very sketchy. It's just like, we're just going to dump you into this area and then send people out to kill you. And somehow, if you win, we don't tell you what winning entails, then you could possibly earn your freedom, basically.
Right.
Right?
No, you will earn your freedom. You will get a pardon and live a life of luxury and wealth somewhere else.
Somewhere else. Interesting. And in all the years it's been on, allegedly only 3 people have done it.
That seems like bad odds.
Whitman, Price, and Haddad are the only 3 people who have done it.
And we find out that's a house of lies.
Well, okay. I'm just jumping right into the highlights because this is important.
It's all highlights.
So while they're in the battle zone, or whatever the heck they call it, Arnold Schwarzenegger and his little girlfriend, Maria Conchita Alonso, stumble upon like a locker room with just the bodies just tossed in there.
Yeah, I mean,
the old bodies of the old winners are just left around for some reason.
And where are all the bodies of all the other people? How come they're not all? If the plan is to just leave them where they drop, where's it? Where are all? I mean, is this a weekly show, right?
Is it weekly or is it nightly? I don't even know. Oh my
God! Can you imagine? I'm exhausted thinking about that. But
well, you're right. It's like why? Okay, why are we keeping these bodies in a place that is easily accessible to the runners?
Well, plus I think it would smell bad.
It would. I'm sure none of it smells April Fresh, if you want to be truthful. But so then. Fireball, one of the stalkers, just arrives, and that's when the grand reveal is, these were last season's winners. No, these were last season's losers. And then tries to... Now, is this being broadcast to everybody?
Yes.
So then it's all... there's the grand reveal at the end where they go, look, the people we told you had won were actually killed. But it was revealed just during the normal broadcast anyway.
I mean, it's edited. It's not like they got a...
It's live!
It's live, but it's kind of live.
It's there's a 8-second delay, like Richard Pryor's on the show.
You turn the camera because there was that. The ending is they use CGI to put people's faces over other people, so it looked like it was Arnold Schwarzenegger. So
that also made no sense too.
And there's also multiple cameras, so you cut away.
So why didn't they? 'Cause since you're talking about that, there's a whole scene where they fake the deaths of
Schwarzenegger,
Ben Richards, who's Arnold Schwarzenegger, and
the lady,
Amber Mendez, Amber Waves. They stage it like Captain Freedom, played by Jesse Ventura. If you don't know what I'm talking about, this sounds like insane nonsense, and it is.
And if you don't know who Jesse Ventura is, why are you watching this movie anyway?
Absolutely.
You're only watching this because it's another Schwarzenegger zinger classic.
Jesse the Body Ventura.
True.
Give him his full name, former governor of Minnesota.
And I'm not even sure, is that a rug or was he just always
It's a rug.
bald?
Oh, that's a big rug.
Was he always
That's a big
bald?
rug. Yes.
Even when he was governor?
He did that Hulk Hogan thing where as they lose the hair, they start wearing a crazy bandana over their
like
head.
an
Or
Aunt Jemima thing to just cover
it's the
top.
Aunt Jemima. That's all you need.
And you just let your scraps go around like oh my God, I hate
It's
that.
currently called the Bret Michaels, by the way.
Hey, if we're referencing Bret Michaels, that's not correct.
That's true. That is sad but true. So yes, Jesse Ventura with a crazy like firefighter porn stash and a fake rug is Captain Freedom, and so they stage this scene where he murdered because he's like the former stocking champion.
Schwarzenegger and his team have already killed off every Sega. What was that? What was that video game? Sub-Zero.
Mortal Kombat.
They've already killed off every Mortal Kombat named character.
Yes, that is true.
And now, so they had to bring I don't know, Steve Young over out of retirement from.
They did
from the what do they call that? The color commentary.
Yes.
He throws his jacket off, and now he's like, I'm in it.
He's not even the color. He's like the sideline reporter. He's like in the locker room talking to people.
You got too deep for me. I don't even know all these terms.
He said they say report to wardrobe. So then they stage this thing, and you're saying they have to stage that because they can't find Arnold Schwarzenegger. Like him and the girl have disappeared in the battle zone, so they stage it. Is that why they did that? I couldn't figure out why they staged it where he murders.
Oh, the death match.
Yes.
So what has happened at this point? My belief is we're getting close to the end of the show, and we need to have a resolution.
I see.
Boom.
Okay. That makes sense. But again, we still don't know how one wins this competition, but neither here nor there.
Well, considering the Hunger Games is a direct off of this, I think that, whoever survives, that's it. You literally got to kill everybody.
That's how we do it. We are burying the lead here because the reason Ben Richards is considered a high criminal or whatever, like nationwide known criminal, is because he is the Butcher of Bakersfield.
The Butcher of Bakersfield representing the town.
That's right. I was kind of on his side at that point, though, truthfully.
Only 48% of Bakersfield.
That's right. That's right. It opens where he's like a pilot. Basically, they're sending in this these helicopters in to quell a food riot.
The food riot in Bakersfield.
Yes, because this is the future and it's dystopian, and the government controls everything. When his immediate superior says, "Open fire on the unarmed,
especially
hungry people,"
the children, try to get the hungry children, like one of those.
He says, "Target the children."
Eyes of the angels, open fire.
Basically, that's basically what's happening. He refuses, and and gets into a fist fight on the helicopter. Again, he was the pilot. So the helicopter's not crashing for some reason. He's fighting everybody, 4 guys. They eventually get him under control, hit him with the rifle, and then proceed to murder everybody in the crowd, I guess, is what we're supposed to think. But then they blame it on him.
Right, because everything's edited for effect. It's all fake news, people. It's all fake news.
Which makes no sense. Why were they recording that?
Maybe it's like, the Nazis and the Romans, man. It's all about bureaucracy. Everything needs to be recorded. Everything needs to be cataloged. Everything, and then you can do what you want with it.
Well, they had pictures from the exterior of the helicopter, like close-ups of the exterior. You see Arnold Schwarzenegger talking and flying the plane from outside the helicopter.
That's very important.
Neither here nor there.
Maybe they got those body cams on the outside. I don't, because since everything is about entertainment,
Yes.
It could be that there
That is
are,
true.
because at one point Richard Dawson calls what the government and wants the media. I wrote this crap down. The Justice Department Entertainment Division, please. That was classic.
Yes. For those of you guys who are under the age of 50, Richard Dawson was a game show host. In reality, he was the host of the Family Feud back in the 80s.
Still on.
But people under the age of 60 might not know that he was also an actor
Hogan's
before
Heroes,
that.
mofo.
He was Newkirk, strangely enough, was his character's name on Hogan's Heroes back in the 60s. Oh my God,
I used to love the reruns. When I was sick, I'd stay in bed and watch Hogan's Heroes.
Now, I am much younger than you, so for some reason, certain shows from the 60s survived into my lifetime.
Because
like
there was
Island,
13 channels, so you watched what was on.
But what I'm saying is Hogan's Heroes didn't make it to my generation. Yeah, I heard about it through, word of mouth. But, like, Gilligan's Island survived. But I think you had to wait until like TV Land or one of those channels popped up. Like then you could watch like the Donna Reed show or Make Room for Daddy. None of those shows were around.
Okay, let me just
not
tell
even in
you
refunds.
that I watched endless TV on our 12 channels, and I never freaking watched Donna Reed. There was a line. I would watch religious programming, or I would watch even a effing Western over those disgusting like 50s family shows. They were so freaking boring.
I love
Donna Reed or Wild Wild West.
What's funny is I never watched. I mean, I remember Wild Wild West being on. We're getting on a major tangent. I remember it being on like on Saturday afternoons or Sunday afternoons or whatever. I never watched it. I was not watching Wild Wild West with Robert Conrad as James West,
the James
U.S.
Bond
Marshal
of the West.
Right. It was basically a steampunk show. Yes. Before there was such a thing as steampunk, there was Wild Wild West.
Instead of an Aston Martin, he had his own rail car. It sounds crazy, but it was fantastic. And it was fantastic. How about that?
With his partner, Artemis.
I love that.
Gordon.
Artemis. What a great name.
So
little known
Good
fact,
times.
because I'm a Gen Xer and I don't even know what you are. Do you have a name?
You're a baby boomer. What are you talking about?
I am
Generation X.
I'm Generation X. I must be at the beginning and you're at the end.
Yeah, maybe.
So, it's a 10-year span. So that would be correct. We are 10 years apart.
But go ahead.
Don't you dare try to. Don't you
wrap it up.
Boomer me. I'll reach through this phone line and give you a punch in the neck.
Boomer.
What I was going to say, back in the old days, you had cartoons for like an hour and a half after school. You had cartoons for like 3 hours on Saturday. And then it was nothing but bad 50s, 60s reruns. Anything they couldn't record to fill. And TV wasn't 24 hours. Like 11:30, 12, you get a test pattern in the national anthem, and then you're screwed.
This is neither here nor there, but I remember realizing this with some lamentation not that long ago. There is no such thing as Saturday morning cartoons anymore.
Oh, interesting.
They do not exist anymore because kids can watch cartoons anytime they want, 24/7. So there's no special like thing about waking up early on a Saturday to watch your cartoon.
It was such a big thing that like at the end of the summer, they would have the Saturday morning cartoon previews where there'd be a whole special dedicated to the new cartoons that were going to be coming up. Everything shifted with cable.
Absolutely. Well, I remember being bummed if I slept
Yeah, that was it.
Oh, I missed my favorite show.
No DVR. We didn't even have VCRs back then.
No, we had Zippity Doo Dah. Okay, so Richard Dawson.
Off the edge.
Richard Dawson, he essentially plays himself in this movie. And rumor has it that the way he acts off camera is similar to the way Richard Dawson acted off camera.
I
in real
love
life,
it.
too.
Kind of
So
a
there
Jerry
you have it.
Lewis kind of asshole character.
Absolutely. No question. So, okay. Schwarzenegger gets out, escapes from prison with some like political guys that he meets inside, including Yaphet Kotto. Good times. And they meet the leader of the underground movement, played by Mick Fleetwood, ostensibly
And I will
playing
tell
himself.
you, Mick Fleetwood never looked so good.
Well, they which is crazy because
They
age
age him up.
in this movie. Absolutely, he's not that
No,
old
but
in this
they
movie.
prettied him up too
Or
because he
real
was
life.
never attractive. He's got those bug eyes, and somehow they tucked him back in.
So, and again, his character's name is
But
Mick. They constantly call him Mick. And at one point, he says something along the lines of, "Oh, the government destroyed all my songs.
yeah,
Destroyed all my songs. What the heck?" Very sad. Oh, and his sidekick, played by Dweezil Zappa's name is Stevie. Coincidence? Perhaps.
Who can
Hard to
say?
say. Who can say? For goodness sake. Sweet Jesus. I've got a list of crazy things I want to talk about. Do you
all
want to
right.
jump
Let
in?
me look at my little listy here.
Okay, I got
Well,
one.
back to the entertainment thing. We have like get me the
Go for it.
president's agent. This is all Trump, right?
Yes. Yes. Absolutely.
And the
It's
only
a sad
time is
situation.
Fireball 70 years old.
Because he has like
He was an
white
old
like flashes in his hair.
frickin' man.
Okay. Fireball was played by
Yes.
Jim Brown, former NFL running back from
Right,
the 60s.
but they got
And
Blackula
this-
up his due.
They did. What's funny is he is if you know what Jim Brown looks like, he's unrecognizable. There's no mustache, and they gave him a crazy, I don't know what it is.
It looks
Like you said, the
it's Bride
Blackula
of
hairstyle.
Frankenstein, but Blackula with two
It's Bride of
stripes.
Frank. That's exactly right. Absolutely correct. Now, this is important because when Fireball, because he's literally the last stalker left, everyone else has been killed or disabled in some way. He flies in with like a jetpack, lands right next to them, and then you never see him fly again. He's like chasing them on foot. I don't know if it's because he's Jim Brown and they literally call him the #1 rusher. I don't know if that's meant to be something. You have a jetpack, you can fly around. Why not fly around? Otherwise, why are you carrying around this huge tank on your back?
Why do
That's
you
all I'm
have the
saying.
jetpack? 'Cause
Questions.
what are you going to do? It's slow as crap, and they can hear
Yes.
you coming for 10 miles.
Oh, no question. Well, and then later, it's like they establish he is fireproof. He shoots a flamethrower, and Schwarzenegger had poured like gasoline all over the floor. Flames shoot up. The whole room explodes. Fireball walks through the fire. Easy as can be. Later, how do they kill him?
With fire.
With fire. He pulls one of his
but
jets
it-
and some gas
but it was
squirts
like an
out, and he throws a
explosion,
flare.
So maybe that's the difference. So chunks
Okay.
of meat. There's a difference between just lighting the marshmallow on fire versus sticking
Chunks of meat.
versus sticking a firecracker in the marshmallow.
Okay. But maybe you're right. There's a bit of a difference there.
Now, don't get me wrong. As
God.
usual, logic and continuity escape most of these movies.
Well, he shouldn't have been able to walk through the fire in the first place because his face is totally
And
exposed.
he has
He's wearing like
highly
some goggles.
explosive crap on his back.
Yes. All these are important questions. There was a scene that I thought was hilarious when Arnold Schwarzenegger is supposed to be looking for his brother and goes to his brother's apartment, which Amber
Right.
has moved in on. He is digging through her closet and pulls out a huge cardboard box filled with cassette tapes. Because cassette tapes have lasted until 2017. This is important. And then he says, "Oh, banned music and black market clothes."
He's
What
trying
exactly-
to, I've lost.
Okay.
I've lost the word. He's trying to put pressure on her, so she has to help him because Arnold's a good guy, so he's not going to mess her up or anything.
Fine. Cassette tapes have lasted 2017.
Let me just
but
tell
what
you,
are black
I just
market
bought
clothes?
the Smiths.
No. What are black market
Anything not
clothes?
made out.
What are
Anything
black?
not made out of spandex, apparently.
Sweet
If
Jesus,
David Lee
go ahead.
Roth didn't design your wardrobe in 2017, it was black market.
Bobsy, bobsy, bob, zitty bob.
But
That's pretty
cassette
much
tapes
how
do
they do
survive because I just got a Smiths and Pretender single for like $2 each. Now, do I have a cassette player? No, those keep breaking, so.
When you throw them out the window?
I bought one for
Because they're obsolete?
$15 at the record store, and it worked exactly one day.
And you have a record
We
store
do.
nearby? Sweet Jesus. Good for you. Good for you. So, Richard Dawson basically forces Arnold Schwarzenegger to participate because he says, if you don't participate, then we're going to make Yaphet Kotto and his nerdy buddy do it. So, he agrees to do it, but then, of course, just because Richard Dawson is a jerk, he's like, hey, I'm going to send him in there too. Just because that's how I roll. You've already agreed to do it. I'm going to send these two cannon fodder in there.
Yes.
Anyway.
Yes.
Question. Is that unfair to the stalkers that now it's always 3-on-1?
I don't think, like the gladiators of ancient Rome, I don't think fair is part of the deal.
No, but I'm talking about to the stalkers. To the heroes have to, the heroes, Buzzsaw or whatever, Sub-Zero, they have to go and now kill 4 people.
I don't think
Instead of
Richard
just the one.
Dawson cares. It's about entertainment.
Clearly not.
It does seem that they really wanted to stretch it. Once they noticed that the crowd was rooting for the criminals, they kind of played that out a little bit. But then they wanted to make sure that in the end, the government won.
Right. I have all sorts of questions.
I will answer them all.
Okay.
Whether it's true or not, I don't know. But let's see. Go for it.
You be the judge.
You be the judge.
Okay, so they go down and there's like into a hockey rink area.
Oh, yeah.
And
Sub-Zero is a hockey player? The sumo wrestler.
This is my question.
Hockey player.
Yes.
With the smallest
How many
codpiece I have ever seen on such an enormous man. That's
all you
praise.
need. Just less is more, or more
That's
is less.
That's what women say. Less is more.
Yeah. It's not the size of the boat. Anyway, you're right. How many Asian Pacific Islander hockey players are there? There could be a
if
few.
I actually knew anything
few.
about hockey, my understanding is they're all Canadian, but maybe there's one of those Canadian Samoan islands that we don't know about.
The
Aleutian. Maybe he's Aleutian.
Yes.
Moved to Alberta as a child. It could happen.
But here's my question. It could happen. If you walk through the ice skating rink, but one of the fans chooses somebody other than Sub-Zero, what happens then?
Ooh.
Or, even worse, what if they go to a different area and then they choose Sub-Zero? Homie's walking around in ice skates.
This is my theory. This is my theory. That the contestants are steered to wherever they need to be steered. There's always like the motorcycle people chasing them. They seem to be steering them.
They're not just motorcycle people. They're crazy leather people. They're basically S&M people. They're like the GIMP. They have like crazy GIMP masks and things like that.
It's Mad Max meets Get the GIMP.
It's basically cruising.
It's cruising with
It
chainsaws. It's looking for Mr. Goodbar, but with tickles.
But with tickles! Clearly. These are a lot of references only we understand. Very sad.
My goal is to
Jesus.
be, what's his face, who got fired off of football for his obscure references. Help me.
Oh,
My
Dennis
goal
Miller?
is to be Mrs. Dennis
Cute,
Miller.
cute. They cut through that defense like the Khmer Rouge. You know what I'm saying? Cha-cha.
I wish I
Thank
liked
you.
sports. I would have watched more of that.
Oh, God. Sweet Jesus. Anywho, moving on. This movie had the worst one-liners I have ever heard. And there's a million of them.
Every line that Schwarzenegger gives is a one-liner.
It's a horrible one-liner. He kills Fireball and says, like, what the hothead?
Now help me with the line here. I'm assuming this has come after all his other movies, right? This is late 80s. So this is after Total Recall.
No, this is before Total Recall.
I assume this was after. Okay, because people started realizing, because he wanted it first, he started doing all this He-Man, what is it, Conan the Aquarian.
He did Conan. Well, he was just taking what they were offering him. They gave him Conan, they gave him Terminator. Commando came not long after that.
So Terminator, he started having a little line here or there. People realize Arnold's kind of, we don't know what he's saying because it's his crazy effed up Austrian accent, but he's kind of a funny guy. He's a friendly guy. Everyone likes Arnold. And isn't it, the audience likes it when he gives a little zinger here. So then they decided to go overboard where every line is a zinger. I mean, you can't give him a soliloquy because no one's going to know what the hell he's saying. So let's keep it short. Let's keep it simple. Let's give it a little zing.
I mean, he literally went to Costco and got the economy pack of one-liners. Where it's not quality, it's quantity.
Exactly.
It is nonstop. Hey, Christmas tree. Hey, Lighthead. Lighthead? Maybe take another swing at that line. Come on, take 5 more minutes before you write that down in the script, for God's sake.
They settled him down a little bit for Total Recall. So it was fewer of the zings, more story.
Right. Well, he would kill somebody, inevitably somebody would be like, oh, what happened? And he'd have a one-liner. What happened to Buzzsaw? He had to split.
Yeah, exactly, because they didn't trust him with his crazy accent. So if you have the script book for The Running Man, and say that they would be like just on each page a few little lines highlighted. So Schwarzenegger carries the entire story of The Running Man just through a series of one-liners.
Absolutely. And here's the thing about Arnold Schwarzenegger. He has lived in California since the late 60s. Okay? He didn't just step off the boat from Austria 5 minutes
before
he
married to
filming.
Kennedys. He is a somewhat educated
The fact that his accent is totally unintelligible, that was a choice. He was choosing that. Okay? For God's sakes. Unintelligible. He got better. I mean, still crazy accent, but you could understand as time progressed. This was still deep into the, what did he just say?
And
hit the rewind button.
He is a terrible actor, but because he's throwing these zings out, you kind of think it's funny. He has flat affect. He is actually emotes less than Kevin Costner, if it is possible.
Shocking.
If it is possible.
If it is possible. Well, and that's the other thing. And I don't know if this is even something that they would want, but a real actor would be like, what emotion would a normal person be feeling in these moments? Anxiety? Concern? Fear, perhaps?
Not
Arnold Schwarzenegger is a guy coming at me with 2 chainsaws. I'm unarmed. Cool. I'm in. Guy with a flamethrower coming at me. Again, unarmed. I'm in. What do you need me to do? Ridiculous. There's a guy shooting lightning bolts at you. He's running at the guy. I have to talk about that scene as well.
Are you talking about the Christmas tree light, man?
Hey, Christmas tree! Yes.
Unscrew
Dynamo.
your light bulb, Christmas tree.
Christmas tree. Dynamo's driving around this crazy like go-kart thing, and is chasing.
You know
Arnold
what it is? It's
Schwarzenegger.
Paul Prudhomme and a rascal lit up with the Christmas lights and slightly.
That's
rapey.
exactly what it is. It's more than slightly.
I could have avoided those tidy whities. Ah!
Oh God, we are going to talk about that. In fact, let's talk about that right now. Later in the movie, this is hilarious. Arnold Schwarzenegger and Amber split up.
Not emotionally.
Why? No, they both say, "Okay, you go. You know, good luck on your mission. Good luck on your mission." She goes off by herself. Why? Who the hell knows? We don't know what Amber's mission was. She's just wandering the hall by herself.
I thought she's bringing the satellite down.
No, she wasn't
She's just trying
anything.
to survive. She's a working gal trying to get by. Trying to get by in life.
I understand. It's a living. It's a living. He goes off with all the other guys and guns. She goes off by herself, shoots a security guard who happens to stumble upon her for no reason. And then there's Dynamo, who is huge. Huge. He's probably 6'5", 300.
Easy. And
Amber,
he's built like Humpty Dumpty. He is literally a ball with a smaller snowman ball head, and I'm guessing no balls down below at all.
Well, and that's what she makes some crack about. Here's some guy with a battery shoved up his ass or something. Some horrible. Again, they're throwing her one-liners as well. He's like tussling with her, and then they cut to and he's got no
all of a sudden we're like, whoa,
bam, no preamble. He was fully clothed, literally a fraction of a second ago. Now no pants.
They would have required a team to disrobe him from the waist down. He's electrified. He's wearing spandex. He's got boots on. Come on. At the very least, she would have had time to get her ASS up and get out of there.
No question. Well, it's ridiculous.
And all of a sudden,
like literally,
you're like, ah! It was so out of left field. Now we're raping. We're raping people.
Yes, we're doing that.
The cherubic opera
singing,
strangely effeminate Christmas tree light rape machine.
Yes, from the waist up, he's still wearing his sparkly, flashing regalia. From the waist down, tidy whities, and that's it. That's all you get. It was a horror show.
It was odd that there's a large number of these stalkers that are morbidly obese. I don't see how they're chasing down Schwarzenegger.
This is an excellent question. Time to hit the Peloton or something. You know what I'm saying? Sweet. And not to mention, like, this fire sprinklers go off and he immediately electrocutes himself. This seems like a design flaw.
Especially if you got a guy named Fireball. Especially
then. I had a whole point. And
you wanted to tell me about Mr. Soprano Raper.
Oh, yes. So he's running down Arnold Schwarzenegger. Arnold Schwarzenegger's running. And Arnold starts climbing up like this wall of detritus or something.
What's
like
detritus?
Crap. Oh. Thank you. I have a vocabulary. And then Dynamo just literally tries to drive up the side of the hill and goes out of control and crashes. I'm telling Arnold Schwarzenegger jumped out of the way at the last minute or anything. Arnold Schwarzenegger's like trying to climb. Like, oh, what happened? Oh, you got into a car accident for no reason? Good to know. Go to commercial. Go to commercial.
They're not the brightest bulbs. Beep.
Hey, light bulb.
You're stupid.
Christmas tree. Right, exactly. Oh, Jesus. I think that's good. Do you have anything else? Oh, I have one more thing I want to say, and then you can say whatever you want. So, big surprise. They manage, Arnold Schwarzenegger and his gang of freedom fighters shut down the Running Man TV show. They take over the satellite.
I mean, isn't that what they try to do in the Hunger Games?
Absolutely. Here's my question. Does that solve a GD thing?
No.
Is society now suddenly, roses and freedom? Yay! You shut down one TV show.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Because we have warnings for everything our president says and nobody cares. So if it was 2020 and not 2017, this would have made one golly darn difference because QAnon would have told their followers that this is all a liberal hoax.
Well, not to get off on a jag here, but it's clearly established with all the stuff going on is that people will find ways to justify their
Absolutely.
In the face of overwhelming, incontrovertible proof, they will set it to the side and look for ways to, continue believing what they want to believe.
Because that kind of thing causes anxiety, and it's easier to believe if the government then comes and says, it's not true.
And again, Richard Dawson, not the president, not the emperor. He's a game show host. Yeah, that's right.
Because who else was like a game show host?
Yeah. Any other highlights you want to discuss?
The one thing they did right was I like this movie. 15 years ago, I remember watching. I'm like, this is the greatest movie ever. And now I'm looking back at it. I'm like, oh.
It's an entertaining romp, but it is utter ridiculous.
The first time I saw it, I was like, this is so good. This is great. I like Arnold Schwarzenegger. I used to think he was an idiot because he was in Conan, but now I kind of like it. These are my early 90s thoughts when I saw this. So one interesting thing they did is when the strikers or the
stalkers. You've done a little stalking yourself.
I have. The stalkers started dying off, and people are horrified and they're shocked.
Oh yeah.
And tears, but they couldn't give a fuck that criminals were dying every week, murdered in terrible ways. So that I think is also goes along with what's going on with us right now. We have our favorites. Whatever they do is fine. Everybody else's problem is their problem.
We're going down a dark path.
It's dark.
Maybe I should
have like a whiskey to do this one. Who knew?
I guess. Sweet Jesus. Any other highlights?
It's all highlights, man. It's all highlights. But like I said again, I remember watching the Hunger Games the first time, super excited. And I like the Hunger Games. I like the first one. I don't know if I saw the other ones, but the whole time I'm watching this, I'm like, this is the Running Man, right? This is the Running Man, right? Maybe just a little updated version.
That's all it is. Are you ready for behind the scenes?
I want to know all about Christmas Tree Man.
Hey, Christmas tree, Lighthead. When Arnold Schwarzenegger ran for governor of California, his campaign bus was called the Running Man.
I have to tell you, one of the few times I voted Republican, I did vote for Arnold Schwarzenegger.
No, you did.
I did. I didn't campaign. I didn't write a check.
You didn't care.
But I did check the box. It was time. I mean, right or wrong. Gray Davis seemed to need to go. Seemed to be ineffective.
Very sad. So the producers purchased the rights to the book The Running Man, written by the world-famous author Richard Bachman, who is actually Stephen King.
Which was so stupid because nobody bought the Richard Bachman book. And so then they had to come out like ghost written or it's the pseudonym of Stephen King. Oh, okay. Well, then I'll check it out.
Right. Basically. So he wrote, 5 or 6 books under the pseudonym Richard Bachman.
I didn't read any of that shit.
I did. I read them when they were released in a compilation called the Bachman books. Absolutely. But the producer who purchased the rights did not know they were a Stephen King book originally, which is good because the movie has no resemblance to the book.
This is after, I think, when he's clean and sober and was going to have a fresh start. So then he started writing all these kind of different stories.
Well, I think it was because critics complained that Stephen King could basically publish his grocery list and sell 1 million copies. And this was his way of saying, look!
Yeah, Stephen King, but not Richard Bachman necessarily.
Richard Bachman, sadly. But in the Richard Bachman Running Man, it is a game show in a dystopian future, but it's not this kind of. It's more like you release a criminal into the world, and they send out like stalkers, are more like secret agents, like CIA assassins, who are trying to track you down, kind of thing.
What's the purpose of that? It's still a show. Is that what you're saying? It's
still a show, but there aren't like fancy code names and people flying around with buzzsaws and flamethrowers and things like that. It's more like you're just released out into the world, and if you survive for a period of time, then you're free, kind of thing. So, and then people can call in and be like, "Oh, I saw him across the street," kind of thing.
Interesting.
So it's different. It's not the same thing, for God's sakes.
Well, see, I looked it up because I was thinking this. I was thinking Total Recall. I was like, well, maybe this is like kind of a Philip K. Dick, Blade Runner kind of ripoff kind of thing. And then I was like, what? Stephen King?
Stephen King!
Love me,
absolutely.
Stephen King.
Jesse Ventura. There's the scene where we talked about where Arnold Schwarzenegger and Jesse Ventura are like grappled in Mortal Kombat trying to kill each other. They had to film that very specially because Jesse Ventura is 6'5". And Arnold Schwarzenegger,
I didn't know Ventura was so tall. Yeah, Arnold's like what, 5'9"?
Well, he might be a little taller than that, but
he ain't no 6'5".
He ain't no 6'5". Well, because Jesse was a professional wrestler. Most of these professional wrestlers are huge mountain of men.
Oh, I don't know. Yeah, versus Hollywood. Well, I think it's when it comes to bodybuilding, you probably have an advantage when you're shorter because it takes longer for the longer muscles to pop, I think.
That might be so. I don't think Schwarzenegger's short by any stretch of the imagination, but he's definitely
not 6'5". He may not be tall by Doherty standard. Maybe he's tall by regular people standards.
Regular people standards, exactly. Let's see. The guy who plays Dynamo was a classically trained opera singer. So there you go.
Was this his big break?
No, he was.
Is he a castrati?
He's not a castrati, thankfully. I saw him in a movie called Alone in the Dark, which is a horror movie starring Jack Palance and Martin Landau.
Oh, strangely enough, I saw this.
Where it's like escaped mental patients on the rampage kind of thing.
Oh my God! I'm a classically trained opera singer. But now I just play mental patients.
Right. Because he's like 6'5", 300 pounds. So he's a big, monstrous, creepy looking dude. This movie inspired TV's American Gladiators. Shockingly enough.
Quite frankly, I think some of these rules might have spiced up Survivor. I always said, throw a couple snipers up in those palm trees, get people moving. Maybe I'll tune back in.
That's what I'm saying. Otherwise, it's just like the real world where people are just hanging out at home all day.
It is! The first couple of years of Survivor, I was concerned about people's health. They were eating moldy rice, and they start off thin, because they wanted the young people. And by the end, they were just like bones.
They were bones!
It was like organ failure is imminent.
The solid gold dancers, who were not actually solid gold dancers, were choreographed by Paula Abdul.
Paula Abdul. Didn't she do the In Living Color, the Fly Girls too?
I believe she did.
In Living Color.
She was a Laker girl. I think the Fly Girls were Rosie Perez, actually.
Oh.
Shockingly enough.
All right.
Don't quote me on that.
I'm quoting you.
Quote me. Did you notice who the director of the movie was?
No.
Well, he was a 70s TV sex symbol.
Is it Don't Hassle the Hoff?
No. He was one of the titular characters on Starsky and Hutch.
Paul Michael?
Paul Michael Glaser was the director.
Oh, right. I didn't even see that. You know, he was in Fiddler on the Roof.
He's a very talented actor.
He was very sexy.
He was the fourth choice to direct this movie, and Arnold Schwarzenegger, in retrospect, was not happy because he was basically a TV director at this stage of the game. He was doing like Miami Vice and things like that.
It's a movie about a TV show. I mean, there's some logic.
Absolutely, but Schwarzenegger felt it made the movie look like a TV show, not like a feature film, I guess.
Well, I don't think you had that clout back then, Arnie.
That is sad but true. The footage of the attacking helicopters is from King Kong, 1976.
Oh, how funny!
So reuse all that good stuff.
Reuse, recycle.
The voice of the announcer, Phil Hilton, is actually the voice of Squidward on SpongeBob SquarePants.
Oh my
so
God,
there
he's
you go.
Still alive, huh?
Still alive. Anything else that is particularly interesting to know?
Who was Sub-Zero?
Sub-Zero was the famous, another professional wrestler, this one from like the 60s, named Professor Toru Tanaka.
I love it when they throw him. He's a professor of what? Of
wrestleology? Of wrestleology. Well, that was when he was wrestling, they would introduce him as Professor Tanaka.
Because Asian people are smart?
Well, he's actually from Honolulu. So he's a Pacific Islander, technically.
But
what's interesting is that's what his name is on the credits, Professor Toru Tanaka. When they introduce him, they call him Professor Sub-Zero for some bizarre reason. Who the heck knows? Very sad. I think that's about it. Oh yeah, Richard Dawson only agreed to be in this film as long as he didn't have to use any profanity. He was very concerned. He
doesn't care if he's an effing dick as long as he doesn't say cunt or what?
Oh, Jesus. Clearly that was a deal breaker. Did you recognize the first woman who's brought out of the audience to choose Professor Sub-Zero? Did you recognize her?
Hang on. At first, I wanted to say it's not the lady who was in Total Recall who had the exploding head.
No, not her. Her name was Edith Wiggins, was the character's name. And she's the one who chooses Sub-Zero to be the first one, saying she wants somebody.
Why do I know her?
You would recognize her from Pee-wee's Playhouse.
Was she? Wait a minute. Who was she in Pee-wee's Playhouse?
Miss Yvonne.
Oh, poor Miss Yvonne.
Poor Miss Yvonne. This is about that same time, actually.
My friend Linda had the Miss Yvonne action figure. That was hard to come by back in the day.
Of that, there can be no doubt. I think we're good here. Do you want to? Let me talk about the ratings. This movie on Rotten Tomatoes currently has a 64% fresh.
That seems low. That seems low because this is, a good value entertainment, fun for the whole family.
Yeah. Yes, fun for the whole family. When he stabs the lawyer in the back with the pen saying, "Send me a copy."
Except for the rapey tidy whities.
So what is your? Oh, sweet Jesus! What is your rating for The Running Man?
Well, let me stroke my beard and think of this because I started laughing and I lost my perfect charm. But I'm gonna give it 4 out of 5 Christmas tree rapes.
4 out of 5 Christmas tree rapes. I'm gonna give it let's say 5 out of 7 crazy S&M leather people. That's important as well. I find it fun. It's fun. It's by no means his best work. This is not one of his finest films by any stretch of imagination.
That'd be Total Recall.
Total Recall is much higher on the list. The production values are so low. What kind of saves it, like I said, is it's like every like B actors in this in some way, shape, or form.
It's
And
the love boat. It's the love boat of death matches.
Well, and if you're paying attention, there's a sign for another TV show behind Richard Dawson called The Hate Boat. Evidently, that's a show on TV at that time. Good time.
Isn't that Below Deck? Isn't that the same thing?
Something like that. And frankly, just the avalanche of ridiculous one-liners. I mean, these are bad. These are bad one-liners.
Who wrote this shit? I mean, did they let Arnold just go for it?
They listen, Arnold, why don't you do a pass of the script, whatever you want to do. Punch it up a little bit, whatever.
Punch it up. I'll be back.
He does say I'll be back.
Yeah, he does.
I haven't seen any of his more recent work, but for a while there.
I'm sorry. The most recent work from the Butcher of Bakersfield is when he had that illegitimate child here in Bakersfield. Maybe that's why he was trying to blow the place up.
Could be. No, for a while there, he worked in ever since Terminator, they worked in I'll Be Back in every movie he did for like 10 years.
And The Expendables?
I'm sure they probably worked it in there as well. Although Richard Dawson has the best retort ever. When Schwarzenegger turns to him and says, Killian, I'll be back. And Richard Dawson says, only in a rerun.
Womp womp.
Womp womp.
I would say
yes,
that Richard Dawson is probably the star of the show.
Oh, no question.
Richard Dawson,
he is great.
He is fantastic. It's just the evil dick. He reminds me of what was the Jerry Lewis thing, the King of Comedy, when you meet the real Jerry.
Absolutely. It's gold, Jerry. It's gold. So there you have it. Thank you very much. Go to our page on Facebook at The Podcast That Wouldn't Die. Go to our page on Twitter at TPodcastTWDie. Email us at thepodcastthatwouldn't.die at Gmail. We are on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, etc., etc. Make sure you like, share, rate, subscribe, do all those good things.
Phone a friend. Phone a friend.
Phone many friends. Help us out. Throw us a line here. Throw me a friggin' bone here.
You're breaking quarantine and you've just had a COVID test, so you're going to go see family members. Pop it on for the ride there.
And the ride back.
For
God's sake.
Highly
recommend. Now, Aaron, you're also on social media. What are you
doing? The Cult of Aaron. Join the cult. I'm on the Insta, and I'm on Tumblr, I'm on Insta, I'm
Twitter,
on Flickr, I'm on the Twitski. I'm not on the Snap. I'm not on the Parler or Parlay. I'm not on the Mind Place or whatever.
4chan.
No, 4chan. I am on the Reddit, though, but only 90 Day Fiance stuff.
Very good. So be sure to drop her a jingle, if you will.
Jingle, jingle, jingle.
I am old Kris Kringle. So there you have it. Thank you very much. And be well.
Later, skaters.